Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Woman of Promise is sponsored by Acropolis Medical Center, Furniture Plus, and Extra Foods.
Good evening, good afternoon, in fact, Trinidad and Tobago. I am Renata Singh. It is always a pleasure to be on the program, Woman of Promise. Today we're going to be talking about something kind of near and dear to my heart because I feel like it's a topic that I could connect with, and I know many of you can as well. As you know, it's coming up to the Christmas season and everyone is already in full hustle mode. Well, if you're anything like me, trying to navigate, getting the house ready, the family, prepped and planned. Also, there's like a whole lot going on in terms of work events and just family gatherings, etc. You all know all what comes with this season, right? And quite often, many of us experience something called burnout around this time of year. On today's program, we'll be talking about burnout and how we as women can approach this season, perhaps with some wisdom, hopefully, right? There's a particular scripture in the book of Matthew that comes to mind. Matthew 11, verses 28 and 30. It says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So I want to start this program off by saying this. Rest is God's design, and it is part of His plan for us. Now, if you'd like to join in the conversation at any point, feel free to connect with us on WhatsApp at 2751981. And today I am joined by a special guest, Miss Jodi Gonzalves, and she's a clinical psychologist. I'm really excited to have her on the program to unpack this very loaded topic.
Hi, afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Before we get into the discussion, tell us just a little bit about, what you do.
Okay, so I'm a clinical psychologist and I specialize in trauma. So
Okay.
that's anybody who's just having a really hard time getting unstuck from something difficult that they're going through.
Okay.
So they could be experiencing anxiety, depression, a breakup, anything like that, a car accident, a death, a loss,
Yeah. Different life experiences.
Yes, hard to kind of overcome. That's what my specialty is. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Wow. Kind of heavy. But necessary. Necessary. I know, like, one of the things we always say here on the program is that it's okay to need help sometimes, that extra help, and that is part of our healing as well. Speaking to professionals like yourselves who can help us navigate those very traumatic experiences that we would, often have throughout life's journey. Yeah, but we're going to talk about burnout today. What does burnout really look like? Especially, just as a woman, what comes to mind in terms of, like, when you hear burnout, really?
Yeah, so first of all, I think we are it's ingrained in us almost to not notice when we're being burnt out. We kind of start to deny it.
Yeah.
And I think, living in this culture and this climate, especially being a woman, it happens to men as well, but especially as a woman, especially if you are a religious woman, you kind of hear it from so many voices around you, your family, your church, it's just ingrained in you that you're supposed to take and kind of bear all the burdens of everyone else. You're not supposed to stop. You're supposed to be basically the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect friend, the perfect daughter, the best worker, kind of everything in one without taking a break. And I think that women get really overwhelmed, and then it's hard to talk about, you know.
Yes.
People feel ashamed and guilty, you know. They don't really want to say, I'm fantasizing about just escaping my life. You know, I don't like this life. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling stressed. I'm fed up with everybody and everything. Those are hard things to talk about. So
Absolutely. And then sometimes saying things like that out loud sometimes feels like admitting to not being able to live up to the certain standards that, you know, society sets for us, and that we accept too, because we do accept those, you know, very high unrealistic standards, you know, like you mentioned, perfect wife, I have to be the perfect mother, and all the other different roles that we play. It's just a lot. But how can we cope as women? Like, how can we, because the reality is we do play different roles in different settings. So we can't necessarily escape that reality. But how can we approach that in a healthy way, in a way that kind of, you know, allows us to fulfill the responsibilities that we have, but, you know, not in a way that gets us burnt out?
yes, so I think, I mean, it's a process for sure. And I think it starts with how you speak to yourself.
Okay.
So just like what we were talking about, you know, society has these expectations, so start to recognize, okay, this is an ingrained belief. This does not mean that I'm a failure.
Yeah.
You know, when I don't match up to all these perfect standards that I'm setting. And even the thought that for me to prove that I'm a good person, I have to perform in this way. So a lot of people kind of link achievements to, you know, to their sense of worth or value. And I would say that's where it starts, with your thinking. How can you start to reframe a little bit? And I'm glad that you quoted that scripture, you know.
Yeah.
So I know there's another verse that talks about Jesus came to give us a life to the fullest.
Yeah.
You know, and that means on earth and in heaven. And a lot of people don't really think about that, you know.
Yes.
And so I would say that there are 4 categories that can help you to really enjoy life to the fullest. So of course we all do our work. You know, we have that. That's always going to be the priority, right? We get that out of the way. And then the other 4 areas would be social, emotional, spiritual, and physical. So you want to make sure you have those 4 things balanced for you to feel balanced and not get burnt out.
Okay. What does that balance look like? Is there balance is such a weird, I shouldn't say weird, but difficult word to use when talking about just life in general, because quite often I feel like balance is not necessary. Well, the dictionary definition of balance is not what it usually looks like in a real life setting.
Yes.
And so how do we navigate? Okay, what do I give more to or less? You understand what I mean? Because you may not be able to give your all or 100% to every single area at any given time.
Correct. So what I usually tell my clients is you want to think about your Goldilocks zone. So you know the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears, right?
Okay, I think I'm remembering this. I remember Goldilocks. That's the one with the porridge, right?
Right.
Okay, the 3 bears.
Yes, so it's basically, you know how she sat down and she's like, okay, this one is too hot, this one is too cold, but this one is just right.
Yes.
Yeah? So it's about trying to do that for yourself. That's why it definitely starts with your thoughts and how you think.
Okay.
So even just the fact of realizing, okay, I am really starting to feel unhappy or stressed or tired, exhausted, something needs to change, you know? That's where it would start. And what I would encourage everyone to do is start to notice what is your Goldilocks zone in each area. So one person might need a lot more exercise, you know? Another person might say, oh, I don't like exercise too much, but I don't mind a little walk, you know? Another person might say, I need a lot of quiet time.
Right.
So for each person, it's a little bit different.
Okay.
What, you know, like what they would need to do to avoid that burnout.
Okay. And you mentioned something there. What isn't making you happy? I remember years ago I was having anxiety attacks, and I was a lot younger than I am now. This is probably like 10 years ago. And I remember I went to the doctor, and the first question he asked me was, what is making you unhappy? And I found that so weird. Like, why would you ask me that? I'm like, I'm here, I'm having this issue, just give me some medication
Yeah.
and I can be on my way. Because it was my first time, like, just going to a doctor for that reason. Usually other illnesses, that's the code. You go, you have a cold, they give you something, you go, you leave, you go home, and you feel better. But it him asking me that kind of really opened my eyes, because for the first time I'm like, what's making me unhappy?
Yeah.
And I had to sit with myself and my thoughts for a bit and kind of unpack what that was. And the more that I, unpacked that, I realized, hey, these are the areas I was not happy at work. It was stressing me, and I'm like, wow, these things do contribute to just your mental health, your well-being. And I found it just really interesting that you mentioned that, just the whole, what's making me unhappy.
Yeah. So I think it takes honest dialogue with yourself. So I do tell people trying to get a little bit of silence is going to help you get in tune with those thoughts,
Yeah.
How society is now on a device constantly, And then, of course, if you have a family, you have other demands, not just
Yes.
work and not just at home, it's so many other parts of it. So I would suggest if you could even take 5 to 10 minute breaks,
Okay.
that would be helpful, and do something like take a walk outside in nature. That's really calming. Put your phone on airplane mode. If you could get a few minutes of silence, that helps you get in tune with, wait, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? I'm feeling really
Yes.
anxious right now. Oh, it's because I'm worried about this other situation,
Yeah. And sometimes you really, like, when you're in the motion of your daily routine, you can't really figure out what is triggering me, or what is causing
Yes.
this, and so yeah, that silence.
The silence helps. Journaling, and those are kind of little ways that you could start to prevent the burnout, I would say. Start to
Okay.
get in tune with yourself, start to speak to yourself in a positive way. So a lot of us have a lot of negative self-talk,
Yeah.
where we're constantly telling ourselves, oh God, you messed this up, and you made this mistake, and you're not doing this well, and this person is mad with me, and
Oh, yeah.
all these stressful
And
thoughts.
you just spiral.
Yes, yes. So instead of being like, okay, wait, hold on, I'm actually doing pretty good. These are the things that I did really like right today. That's a nice
Yes.
thing to do with yourself. What did I do right today? To remind yourself that you deserve the same love and compassion that you're giving to others all the time.
Yeah.
You also deserve it. To even remind yourself that you're going to be a much better partner, friend, mother, wife, everything else,
Yeah.
professional, if you start to learn how to give yourself true self-love and self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a saying, right? You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
And I
Yes.
feel like that totally describes the whole
Yeah.
danger of being in that burnout zone for a prolonged period of time. Because sometimes we know we're in that space, but we're like, I can't give anything up, or I can't, take a break, or
Yes.
find that time for silence, because who else is gonna, take care of the kids, or
That's
do
the
whatever.
anxiety, and that's how the thoughts can spiral, the negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Nobody else can fix this except for me. Now, of course, we all go through periods where, yes, you have to be under a stressful period,
Yeah.
and there's no choice, and that's okay. But for the other times, I do encounter a lot of people who tell me, Jodi, I can't do it, I can't take a break, nobody else could do it as good as me. And as we work through it,
Yes.
they start to realize, oh my gosh, I actually can, and then they realize that they're so much nicer, they're so
Yeah.
much happier,
Yeah.
they have much better relationships with their family,
Oh yeah, because
because they're not blowing up.
I was just gonna
Yes.
say that, like, one of the
Yeah.
things, like, you snap at people. So
Yes.
I know, like, when I'm not rested, I mean, burnout is a whole other different level of not rested, right? But
Yeah.
like, if I had a bad night and I'm around people, I'm like, I need to be so cautious with how I say what I say, because my
Yes.
intention may not be to offend or say something off, but it just sometimes just happens. You in that
Yes.
zone, you get a little snappy. So absolutely, definitely things that we need to pay attention to, and very proactive tips you've been sharing with us in terms of avoiding burnout. But when we come back from this break, we're going to talk a bit about maybe perhaps how we can identify, if we're
Definitely.
experiencing burnouts. We'll be right back.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Woman of Promise is sponsored by Acropolis Medical Center, Furniture Plus, and Extra Foods.
Jam and Beam makes wishes come true with a loan to fix up everything brand new. So gather your dreams, let the magic in. With a Jam and Beam loan, you're set to win.
Get a loan up to $350,000 unsecured from GMMB for home repairs, trips, or gifts, and no loan repayments until February next year. Plus, you could win groceries, home decor, and more. GMMB, fixing you up for real this Christmas.
It's Black Friday every day at Furniture Plus. Get up to 70% off in-store and online. Shop unbelievable deals on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. Pay 0 installments for 90 days on credit plans. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
At Acropolis Medical Center, we are deliberate in ensuring that good health is your foundation to a better life. For over 10 years, we've delivered compassionate care, medical excellence, and community support. From consultations to specialized services, everything you need is at one convenient, one-stop location. Whether it's your health, your family, or your organization, our team is here to help you live life well. Call 657-3356, WhatsApp 488-6463, or visit 99B Circular Road, San Fernando. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Acropolis Medical Center. Acropolis Medical Center. Live life well.
Welcome back to Women of Promise. If you're now joining us, I'm joined by Miss Jodi Gonzalves. She's a clinical psychologist, and we are talking about burnout today. Now, if you'd like to join in the conversation, like I mentioned earlier, you can do so. You can connect with us on WhatsApp. The number is 275-1981. That's 275-1981. Before we went to break, we talked a bit about avoiding burnout, but now we're going to pivot a bit. We're going to talk about what are some signs? What can, tell us if we're experiencing burnout?
Okay. So I would say there are emotional signs of exhaustion. One of the most common ones is when you just feel exhausted, so you're kind of zoned out.
Okay.
So I don't know if you notice, like, you're just scrolling all the time, mindlessly scrolling. You're up at night scrolling.
I feel as most people.
People may not realize, yes. Well, it's in conjunction with the other things.
Right.
But yes, but definitely that is a sign. If you realize you feel kind of detached, kind of numb, that's one sign. Then there are physical signs, like you're getting headaches, tummy aches is a big sign. So if you have like problems going to the bathroom or things along those lines, body pains, that's another sign. The physical exhaustion. Then you have difficulty sleeping or staying asleep. That's another sign. So the illnesses, there's what else, boy? Burnout. Oh, brain fog, memory loss.
Okay.
Like you realize it's hard to concentrate.
Yes.
You're feeling tired all the time. Now, burnout is actually really similar to depression.
Okay.
So
in terms of like the signs.
these signs are similar and the feeling is similar. So you start to feel quite heavy. You're not feeling excited to do things anymore. Nothing is really bringing you joy.
Right. Is it related at all? Can it be?
It is, yeah. It's quite related.
Okay.
They're very, very similar. But burnout is really more connected to you having like too much on your plate.
Okay.
And you're feeling overwhelmed. So at that point, is when you learn to set some boundaries,
Yeah.
so that you're no longer in that space, you know.
Okay.
So it's a bit different, because with clinical depression, you might need medication, or you might need, you know, a different type of intervention, another, you know, a deeper level of intervention.
Okay, so burnout, you just how do you treat with it? I know, like you mentioned, medication and stuff like that for depression, but is it more lifestyle changes?
Right. So with burnout, again, right, you have to start by making your personal decision, right? Like, you realize where you're at, you're ready to be honest with yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And then it would be steps like, okay, what are the changes I need in my life, and how can I make sure I stick to this? So self-care, you know? And again, self-care is different for everybody. Some people like to do their nails and their toes and get a massage. For some people, it might mean they need some privacy, you know? They need nobody to interrupt them. Sometimes it's also being able to verbalize the needs to the people in your life, you know?
Okay.
Because we can't really assume that people know what our limits and boundaries are.
Right.
So it's about learning to tell people, you know, whether it is, okay, listen, I don't really accept calls after 5 because that's my personal time, but I'll get back to you in the morning.
Oh,
You know?
I know that.
Yeah.
You just said that, and I felt that's like a weight for some people. I know that, because the guilt of doing that, like having a lock off. And then too, sometimes there's a fear factor involved as well, depending on, you know, sometimes some relationships, you know, like if you tell some people that, they're going to be like, what? But all the time you were, you know, you could have taken calls 9, 10 o'clock in the night. All of a sudden, what's this switch up about? And some people can be not, you know, understanding.
So definitely, that's something to prepare yourself for. There's going to be pushback, because people don't like when you set boundaries.
Absolutely.
Because they're no longer getting as much access to your nice, happy energy, you know?
Yeah.
But one of the biggest signs of burnout is that drained feeling. You feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
You know? So it's a sign that you need to pull back your energy to yourself and start setting those healthy boundaries. Boundaries is a really hard thing for people to learn to set, especially women. Because as women, we are more inclusive. We tend to bring everyone along and, you know, care about how everybody feels and feel responsible for their feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it's making that decision and starting to set the boundaries. So by setting a boundary, you decide what you need and want. Like I said, if it's exercise, if it is you need to eat healthy meals, you need to get more rest, you need to go to bed earlier, you need help with the chores. It's about figuring those things out.
Go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
So no more scrolling.
Well, it might mean, okay, I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode at 10 o'clock, you know, so I'm not tempted. And I'm going to do this instead. It's kind of like you're becoming the parent that you need, you know? So you're being loving and kind, but also compassionate. That's the key. It's the two things together.
Okay, wow, that's a lot. I feel like I have a lot of homework to do. So right, we talk about like the signs, what persons can look out for. What are some practical tips? Let's just say somebody like myself is listening to you talk and like, wow, I'm ticking some boxes here. What's next? Because that in itself, just that being ready to face the fact that, hey, I am experiencing this, that's heavy.
Correct.
Because that comes with you know, you need to make some changes, which is also heavy as well.
Yes.
So what's next?
Correct. So another sign of burnout would be procrastination. So if you realize that you're like, okay, yeah, I should start the gym, and I know I just want to lie down in the bed and scroll, you know?
Oh boy.
So
I feel like you're talking to me very directly here.
So yeah,
I've been starting the gym. Fun fact, right?
Okay.
I've been starting the gym. Probably, okay, I'll just tell you all for this year. Since January, I've been starting the gym. We are, what month is it?
November.
Over the halfway mark in November. And I'm still having that conversation with myself. Just Monday, I'm like, this is going to be it. In fact, this morning, I think I texted somebody and I'm like, hey, next week is a new week.
Right.
You know, I'm not even like, wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so I would say you have to be really kind to yourself, right?
Yeah.
And set realistic expectations. That's something that's going to build your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, your confidence. So you want to be realistic. So instead of saying, okay, I'm experiencing burnout, I'm just going to start a gym, eat healthy every day, go to church every day, pray every day, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, take the kids out. That's super unrealistic. You're going to feel more stress, and you're just going to go in your bed and put the covers over your head, right?
Yeah, and feel defeated.
Feel totally defeated. So you want to start in tiny ways. Again, that's where I think the silence and that prayer time with God, I think that's probably the most important thing you can do.
Yeah.
Go into that lovely silent space with God and ask God to lead you and guide you. You know, because God wants you to be happy. He wants you to feel good, and you know, and it's called it good news for a reason. You know, he's supposed to be feeling good, right? And joyful and happy. So that's what he wants for us. In that silent space, like I said, you get a little more in tune with your intuition. You hear your own self speak. And you kind of hear, you know what? Maybe I need to start with getting more sleep. That's it.
Okay.
You know, and then you just start with that. Sometimes you can do something little, but very effective. I tell clients, you know, go and walk in nature. It's so helpful. If you have a yard or a nearby park, just take a little walk.
Okay.
Not for exercise, you know, but you move your phone far away, and you just let yourself be present. You look at the sky, you feel the breeze, you just notice what is happening right now.
Right.
You look at the trees, you just actually let yourself sit and enjoy 5 minutes of just being. That's it. Not doing anything. Yeah? That's one small helpful way to start. And then you start to get to know yourself a little more and then honor yourself, right?
Yeah.
So instead of I have to be this mask and this role, no, I have to be me. You know, this person that I was created to be. So I get to be soft sometimes and also strong and tough sometimes, you know? A mix. So other things, like I said, maybe if you realize you're not eating properly and you're not feeling good and your health is suffering and all of that, you need to eat well, but it feels overwhelming, find another resource. So whether it is you say, okay, I could buy a rotisserie chicken and I could make some jasmine rice, you know, simple, right? That's something I could start with. Or I can buy a healthier meal, you know, and split it into 2 days. Or I can, you know, you can just try small ways. Like if you know you can't cook the meals for yourself, then find somebody who can make it for you, you know?
Right.
Or try and find a buddy or friend. Maybe you can even exchange a service. I don't have money to buy these healthy meals, but my friend is a great chef. Maybe she could do the meals and I could do this for her, you know? So I think be as realistic as you can. Starting a gym is a wonderful thing, or exercise, but that's kind of lower down on the list, I would say, because you don't have energy, remember?
Right.
So you
So it may not
have
be
to
the
be
best thing to
compassionate.
start off with.
Correct. And think of the time you want to start, right? Because like let's say it's coming up to Christmas. Nobody wants to start the gym at Christmas, right? You want to eat, you want to relax, right? So give yourself that grace. This is my time to have fun, to relax, and that's fine. And then in January, you know, you're a little more motivated.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, Christmas again there. Like, I started the program talking about Christmas, but again, like, these are really practical tips that you should put into action for the season, because there's just so much going on. I know we want to do the full 9 yards, but sometimes it may be best to be more realistic in terms of the goals that we set for ourselves this season. Being present is a good thing. Being present with your family, with your friends. Don't feel guilty if you aren't able to do what you usually do.
Correct. You have to talk to yourself and be like, listen, look at how much I've been doing and how well I've been doing all these things, you know? I need a break. So it's almost like you have to prioritize your breaks and your downtime.
That's an important one.
Just like you would prioritize your professional, you know, the things that you need to do professionally. Also, or your obligations and your duties, prioritize your personal time and your self-care.
I think one of the things I recently started doing, like in the last 3 months-ish, maybe not even that long, is kind of scheduling rest. That sounds so weird, because when you think rest, you're like, use write down time to do nothing. But yeah, I do, because if I'm not intentional about it, it never gets done. I never prioritize it. And I don't get it right all the time, but it's definitely an area that I'm actively kind of trying to be better in, because it's one of the areas I struggle with a lot.
Yeah.
And I know there are lots of persons that struggle in that area, just finding the time to. And like you mentioned, it doesn't have to be any lengthy period of time. It could be 10 minutes. Just take a break.
Yes.
Walk away from your desk. Take a break from the kids. Like, sometimes you need a little breather, else you might go a little crazy. Or respond in ways that you don't want to. I mean, we're talking real here, right? But yeah, schedule. Definitely an area that, and you know what, it has been kind of working pretty okay for me. I still have to be very, like I said, intentional about getting it done, because especially around this season when things get crazy, you're always like, oh, well, I can compromise my day of rest and do this here or do that there to please this one or please that one. But in the long run, we are the ones that suffer. And if we're not in a healthy place, it affects literally everything. Our ability to work, our ability to function as that good wife, good mother, etc. And, you know, fulfill those roles that we approach with intentionality, in that way, you know, just being kind of like good at those various things that society kind of puts on us. But we're going to go to another short break. When we come back, we continue this discussion and wrap things up here on The Woman of Promise. Don't go anywhere.
At Acropolis Medical Center, we are deliberate in ensuring that good health is your foundation to a better life. For over 10 years, we've delivered compassionate care, medical excellence, and community support. From consultations to specialized services, everything you need is at one convenient, one-stop location. Whether it's your health, your family, or your organization, our team is here to help you live life well. Call 657-3356, WhatsApp 488-6463, or visit 99B Circular Road, San Fernando. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Acropolis Medical Center. Acropolis Medical Center. Live life well.
JMB makes wishes come true with a loan to fix up everything brand new. So gather your dreams, let the magic in. With a JMB loan, you're set to win.
Get a loan up to $350,000 unsecured from GMMB for home repairs, trips, or gifts, and no loan repayments until February next year. Plus, you could win groceries, home decor, and more. GMMB, fixing you up for real this Christmas.
It's Black Friday every day at Furniture Plus. Get up to 70% off in-store and online. Shop unbelievable deals on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. Pay 0 installments for 90 days on credit plans. Shop now and save big at Furniture Plus.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Woman of Promise is sponsored by Acropolis Medical Center, Furniture Plus, and Extra Foods.
Welcome back. If you're now joining, we're continuing the discussion with Ms. Jodi Gonzalves, a clinical psychologist. We're talking about burnout. Before we went to break, we were looking at just how you can identify if you're experiencing a season of burnout and how you can and should navigate if you are in that season. But now we're going to talk a bit about setting some boundaries. What does boundary setting look like? Because before we went to break, we did kind of mention that sometimes when you set boundaries, people are gonna get upset. It's gonna become a little uncomfortable, and that's something that we have to be prepared for.
Yeah.
So how can we prepare ourselves?
I think setting healthy boundaries is probably one of the hardest skills to learn.
Okay.
So men are naturally better at it than women.
Okay.
Just by the way. So, so a dad might say, oh no, I have my match. I'm going to watch your match at this time. And that's just that. I'm just doing it, And they go ahead and they just do it,
No
right?
explanation.
And the mom will be like, I have to do da-da-da-da. And she'll get so flustered, and then she'll end up doing anything she doesn't want to do, right? She misses out on her thing, and now she's resentful, frustrated. It's hard. So setting a boundary means being consistent. So if you spend that time with yourself and God and you realize, oh my gosh, I am giving too much to too many people, right? And let's pretend you realize, okay, my child really needs me, in a particular way, so therefore I have to talk to my friends. It might be something like that,
Right.
I need to spend a little less time with them. And for each person it's a little different. But I would say you spend some time becoming calm before you send a response.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
That's very important. Because if you don't, then it's going to be, you can respond if it's, a co-worker, it's a very unprofessional way you might respond, or in a very hurtful way to a friend or a loved one. So you take your time, and I would say practice writing it. You get better and better with time.
Okay.
But I think noticing that you are triggered or you're angry or anxious, take the time, calm yourself down, and then you figure out what you want to say to the person, And how I guide my clients is what's going to help with the guilt, because that's what most people feel. They feel so guilty if they think for saying no. Yeah. So let's pretend it's like, oh my God, I just need a little bit of sleep. I need to rest and relax. I don't feel to go out and be with these people, or I don't feel whatever. But then they're like, how come you never spend time and come
Right.
I'm feeling like, oh God, I don't know what to say, And you can either force yourself to go and you're miserable,
Right.
and you're spending the week recovering, or you stay home and you feel guilty and anxious and like a bad friend and a bad person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you find a way to say it, and I always tell people, practice telling the truth with love.
Okay.
Right? So you want to be authentic. Okay. You want to be true to yourself. So if it is, okay, listen, I love spending time with you, but I really need this little bit of rest before, I meet you guys later, or
And I mean, your friends and
later.
family, if they love you, they will hear you.
They will hear you, but I think the key is explaining it properly.
Okay.
Sometimes when you look up information on how to set boundaries, they kind of, to me, it comes across in a more aggressive way. Don't give explanations. Don't, and I think that can quite hurt your relationships with people.
Absolutely.
If you give no explanation, no, I'm just not coming.
Because then you leave them wondering, like,
Yeah.
is it me? Did I do something?
Yeah.
And that could take a toll on the relationship.
It can. Yeah.
But one of the things you mentioned there, in terms of like, don't respond as quickly, and practice, what those responses may look like in a healthy setting, especially when you're like probably more on the calm side. One of the things that I do, and I'm not telling anybody else to do this, but it's something that helps me. I usually, when I'm in an emotional space or emotional about a particular thing, let's just say I'm responding to someone and I know like this is triggering for me, I would type up whatever and I will send it to my husband to read. And he'll be like, okay, take that out, take that out, leave that out, change that word, that sounds too emotional, and it could be taken, in a particular way.
Good. No, I think that's great advice. And I do that for myself sometimes. If I realize I'm triggered in a moment and I need a timeout, and if I feel super emotional about it and I don't want to be, I don't want to cause disrepair with me and the person, I do ask people that I trust, maybe one person or somebody, what do you all think? Should I? And guess what? Sometimes it still doesn't go well. Right? Sometimes you send the the most thoughtful, honest message you can, and you think the other person's going to receive it well, but they have not done their own work. So they're in a state of anxiety and burnout, and they don't even realize or notice how they are now reacting to you.
Yeah.
And try to avoid the back and the quarrel, you know?
Especially
it can
like
just
via
escalate.
text. Whew.
Correct. It can get out of hand. So that would be a good boundary. If you realize, wow, okay, I try to do my part, this other person that I'm speaking with, they're not capable of doing what I'm doing right now.
Or at least in the moment.
In
Because
the
sometimes they
moment,
may, suppose
yeah.
like you mentioned, they're in that space where their anxiety is elevated. They're
Yes.
experiencing burnout.
Yes.
So they are a little bit snappy.
Yeah.
Is it probably a good thing to probably say, hey, let's chat about this in person, to kind of give them that space?
It you know what? It depends, right? So
Okay.
with some relationships, you want to put that effort in.
Okay.
You know, the relationships that you want to maintain and keep. If it's a relationship that's with a random person
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
don't need to, then
Feel that pressure.
the boundary would mean that you do not continue engaging in that way, you know? And some people really don't have the skills or the ability to be rational, to be fair.
Okay.
You know, they might continue with an unfair opinion or approach. Well, no, this is what you have to do, no compromise.
Yeah.
And then you have to decide, that's where the boundary comes in. Okay, do I want to maintain my peace? Do I just give in, maintain my peace because I'm intending to end this relationship? Or do I need to, as you said, ask them for time to speak in person in the future? Now, I think that people get very anxious about those kinds of talks. A lot of people run away from those one-on-one talks, right? So that's why I use the example of messages, because it could be a little easier if you take your time to reflect and be really thoughtful. With boundary setting as well. So yes, getting a little bit of support, I think that's helpful. Sometimes people realize at that point they don't know how to communicate, because learning how to communicate is key to setting good boundaries. You might need help from somebody who's good at it, or if you realize it's really not helping, then that's when you come for therapy. You know, you sit with your therapist and you learn. You know, you learn how, well, what am I actually feeling? Why am I feeling like this? How do I self-soothe? And now how do I repair with the other person? Or how do I express my needs, you know? How do I sometimes let go? Sometimes you have to let go of things. Sometimes it's not going to be fixed or resolved. How do I put that on a shelf and continue to love these people around me, you know, continue to have a good day? So all those are parts of setting healthy boundaries, and definitely involving God. So when you feel like it's impossible and you don't know what to say and do, you pray. And I always tell my clients, it's like when you step out in faith like that and you say, God, I want to learn how to love myself, because that's what God's commandment says. You love God first and you love your neighbor as yourself, which means love yourself first and then you love your neighbor the same way, you know? And when you ask God to teach you that, it's I've seen it happen. It's so miraculous with everybody that I say it to. I'm like, tell God that you're stepping out in self-love and you need that help. And when people take these steps, it's almost like you're jumping off of a cliff and you're seeing rocks and there's nothing. And the second before you hit the water or the rock, you just see two hands appear to kind of catch you. And because clients might say, oh God, Jodi, I can't afford therapy for me and my child, or the gym and this and that. And I'm like, you are doing it out of love, like not out of fear, and you're trusting God. Look and see. And people will be like, oh my gosh, this person just called and this other client and I got money for this and somebody offered to pay for this for me. Those are the types of things that start to happen. So I would say have that faith and trust, you know.
Absolutely. And just God does instruct us to take care of our bodies, and doing all these things in terms of like preventing burnouts and specifically prioritizing rest, because like I mentioned earlier, rest is part of God's design for us. He intends for us to get rest and enter into that space. So if you have been going and you could connect with anything that we've been talking about over the past a couple of minutes or so, please take the time to pull back step into that silent place. Like there's a scripture that says, "Be still and know that I'm God." And there's one preacher that I heard said, "Hey, the knowing comes from that stillness." So take the time to unplug. Take the time to get yourself into His presence, because I feel like that is one of the most important things when dealing with this topic, just burnout, etc. So please don't approach the Christmas season unwise. I think we have gotten quite a lot of tips from Ms. Gonzalves. Thank you so very much for taking the time to spend with us and just kind of share your thoughts and expertise as well as it relates to this topic.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was lovely to meet you.
It was lovely as well. You guys can catch me right here on 98.1 next week. It's Woman of Promise on Tuesdays. Don't miss it.
Woman of Promise is back. The Grand Reset with our new host, Renata Singh.
Hey, it's your girl Renata, and you can join me and my special guests every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. as we touch on issues that impact women of all ages, from knowing your worth and identity in Christ, fostering godly relationships, beauty, fashion, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and more. And of course, we bring a biblical perspective to every discussion.
It's Woman of Promise, the Grand Reset, every Tuesday from 12:15 to 1 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM. Woman of Promise is sponsored by Acropolis Medical Center, Furniture Plus, and Extra Foods. The following is an FBN Studio production.